Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Sheen, your host. This is Money Matters. In this channel, we talk about money, finance, how to grow your money, how to invest your money, how to make money work hard for you. Guys, if you'd like to see somebody work his portfolio, his public portfolio, show you everything in his portfolio, all the stocks that I have, show you my sells, my buys, my cost basis, consider subscribing to my channel. I do all that. I'm going to do an update video about my portfolio soon. I just kind of been backlogged with a bunch of videos that I want to get out. If you look in my old videos, I went over basically line by line my portfolio, everything that's in there, show you everything, my cost basis. So if you like that, consider subscribing, give me a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel, helps me spread my video, spread my channel. I have over 600 subscribers now. The subscriber count is just growing day by day. Really humbled that you guys are watching my video, find some value in my content. So I have a requested video today. Somebody requested I cover Graf, G-R-A-F, and so that is what we're going to do today. I have pretty much researched the full day on Graf and their target Velodyne Lidar. So I'm going to present you with everything that I researched and just share my information and see if this is a company that makes sense for you to invest in. All right, let's get started. So here it is. The company is Velodyne. I hope I'm saying that right. Velodyne Lidar. I heard people pronounce this Lidar. I always thought it was Lidar, like basically light radar. So I'm going to call it Lidar anyway. So just a couple of days ago, this broke the news that Graf was going to bring Velodyne to the IPO, to public market. And so Velodyne, they are the world leader in LiDAR technology. And they're going to combine with Graf. They're going to bring the company to the New York Stock Exchange. And the implied market cap of the company together is going to be roughly $1.8 billion. This transaction is going to put $200 million in cash in Velodyne's balance sheet. So here's a transaction overview, basically what I just said. It's going to happen in Q3 of 2020, and they're supposed to file a proxy statement, which I believe they did a couple of days ago already. So that's already filed with the SEC. Again, their implied market cap is going to be 1.8 billion, and well, here it says $192 million of cash on the balance sheet. So roughly close to 200 million, we'll say. So here is the Form 8K filed with the SEC from Graf. They're going to bring Velodyne to the public markets. Here is the graph of Graf. So they closed at, well, they actually closed at a little over $17 today. They were, at the time of my preparation, they were trading at $16.98. And so, basically here's a 1 month graph of Graf. And so they started at, before the 10th of June, they started in the $10 range where all SPACs start out. They start out in the same $10 range. And so there was news that they were going to combine with a plastics manufacturer, plastics recycling company. And so news broke on that, and that's why their stock popped initially from $10 to roughly $14, $15. I think that the news died down on that, and then I don't know what happened. It broke apart. Basically something fell apart, and so that's not going to happen. But in the beginning of July, I think it was July 1st or July 2nd, that the news broke that Graf was going to take Velodyne to the public markets, and that's where you have this pop from roughly $14 up to over roughly over $20. Today it's sitting at roughly $17. So we're going to go over some highlights of their presentation. I'm not going to go over the whole presentation. There's other channels out there that basically broke down this whole presentation. So I'm just going to hit on some specific points and then add a little bit of context from my personal opinion. So hopefully that helps you decide if this is a company that is meant for you. So first thing I want to point out is so here, number one, established market leader. So they are the market leader in this technology. I believe the executive, the chief executive, is the person that invented this technology. So they have over 300 plus customers, and so I was kind of surprised that they put this here. So they're saying that they had $570 million of cumulative revenue since 2010, and I'm just looking at that and I'm saying, wait a minute. That's 10 years. In 10 years, you only have a cumulative revenue of 570 million. I don't know. That doesn't seem like something that is a good highlight. I would have expected, higher revenue. But anyways, the past does not predict the future. This technology is really starting to take off with autonomous driving and robotics, and so in the next year they could, do 40% revenue, 50% revenue, who knows? But anyways, I just kind of surprised that in 10 years that was their combined revenue of just 570 million. Anyways, moving on. So what is LiDAR? So basically LiDAR is, here's the definition, it's a method of measuring distances by illuminating the target with laser light and measuring the reflections with a sensor. So if you kind of want to think about it, it's basically like radar, but instead of using sound, you're using light. So you're bouncing light out, the light hits an object and then it bounces back, and then you're able to measure that distance. And by doing that, you're also able to 3D map that object. And so, actually this technology has been around for a while. It's used in a lot of industries. I didn't know it was used in so many different industries, but here's a quick list I'll show you. So like digital elevation models, imaging, 3D imaging, agriculture, crop viability, crop categorization. I don't even know what some of these things mean. Crop mapping is used in astronomy, mapping planets, topography mapping, lunar laser ranging, I don't know what that means, molecular density, pollution modeling, meteorology, cloud profiling, gas composition, autonomous vehicles, that I understand really well. Navigation, collision avoidance, autonomous cruise control, things like that. Biology, conservation, biodiversity, flood modeling, all these things. This list goes on and on. Like this list is literally, that's probably like half of the list. Honestly, of that list, I probably only understand 2 of those things as autonomous driving, self-driving vehicles, mapping out objects so you don't crash into something. I understand that, and maybe topography, mapping of planets, mapping of objects. But honestly, I don't understand half of, or more than half of what's on that list. So for me personally, if I was to invest in this company, I would definitely need to research more about the uses of LiDAR. Which kind of brings me to this next chart. So this chart is saying, so in 2017, so they're saying, they're much more than an autonomous vehicle company. So in 2017, more than 50% of what they do with LiDAR is for autonomous vehicles. The rest is for robotics and industrial mapping. But then today, 2020 and forward, they're claiming that now autonomous vehicles is only roughly 25% of what they're doing. The rest of the 75% is in delivery, smart cities, shuttles, mapping, robotics, and advanced driver assistance systems. But to me, it should be like advanced driver assistance systems that would be under autonomous vehicles, and like delivery, I would assume that would be under autonomous vehicles as well. So I don't know. Anyways, but the map, that graph just shows me that. So there's really 2 different technologies when it comes to self-driving. There's LiDAR, which is what like Waymo is doing, which is what pretty much every other company is doing. I think Waymo is one of the biggest, Google spin-off company that's using LiDAR for their self-driving vehicles. I think Zoox, which was just acquired by Amazon, they are using a laser-based system for self-driving. So the other technology is what Tesla is doing, and that is using artificial intelligence and just cameras, just basically vision cameras. So those are the 2 technologies for self-driving. And so I think it's just going to be a battle of who's going to win out. And so, based on this chart from a company that produces LiDAR, that is what they do, they're saying that autonomous vehicles back in 2017 was more than 50% of their business, and now in 2020 it is 25% of their business. So you got to start to wonder, like, well, maybe Tesla has something there. Maybe why is the LiDAR technology from 2017 to 2020 dropped from more than 50% to now only 25% of this company? So something to think about. So then the next chart, it even kind of boggles me a little further. So take a look at this chart. So the applications, so this is basically the applications that they have contracts for, for their LiDAR systems. Last mile delivery, that is basically like UPS, FedEx, maybe Uber Eats, like delivery to you, and then the last mile. These things aren't going to come like on a semi truck, right? That's like long distance delivery. So last mile delivery, robo taxis, ADAS, which is automatic driver assistance systems, shuttles. I'm assuming that means like space shuttles, mapping, robotics, and smart city. So the top, the first 3 is basically autonomous driving. Last mile delivery, robo taxis, and automated driver assistance systems. That is all self-driving. That is basically what self-driving vehicles is. So they're saying in 2020, again, most of the revenue comes from last mile delivery, robo-taxis, and driver assistance systems. So they're saying in 2024, that's going to be 47% of the revenue. It's going to be last mile delivery, robo-taxis, and driver assistance systems. In 2023, that's going to be 71% of the revenue. And so this chart is just saying that basically the whole revenue is actually from self-driving. And so that's what's kind of a little bit confusing to me. You just said in the previous slide that it's now only 25% of what this company is today, but yet when you're showing this multi-year contracts, you're saying that all the revenue is in last mile delivery, robo-taxis, and driver assistance systems. So that's just a little confusing to me. Also, I want you to take note on the bottom there. It says one customer accounts for 316.3 million in cumulative projected revenue between 2020 and 2024. And so this one customer, whoever it is, they account for $316 million of this revenue. And so if this one customer decides to jump ship, to use a different technology, use a different company, basically Velodyne is going to be screwed. Because if they have one customer that is that huge, everything relies on this one customer. And so that is another red flag to me. It's like, what if that one customer pulls out and doesn't want to do business with them? Then they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So that's another thing I want to point out. So when it comes down to it, it is a question of which technology is going to be prevalent and going to be developed for self-driving. I think everybody knows that self-driving cars, self-driving vehicles is on its way. I think it's personally just around the corner. And so the question is, which company do you want to invest in? A company that's doing LiDAR or a company that's doing artificial intelligence and with cameras? So that's the bottom line question. So I will say, first of all, obviously I'm a big Tesla bull. They're the biggest holding. I believe in it the most. I believe their self-driving is going to be first. So I think everybody kind of knows my opinion about which technology is going to be the one that win. But so Elon Musk has looked into LiDAR, and I'll show you a clip where he talks about it. They could have used anything when they developed their self-driving vehicles. They could have used LiDAR, but they looked into LiDAR, and he said it just didn't make sense. The technology is too expensive, and it doesn't do a good job. And he goes in this video and he says that they use LiDAR. They use LiDAR and they develop their own LiDAR systems when they dock their spaceships to the International Space Station. So it's not like they don't know the technology. It's not like they don't know how to use the technology. They do use the technology, but they just don't believe that it's the right technology for self-driving. It's the right technology in certain fields, like docking a spaceship to the space station. You're trying to measure distances. But when you're driving a vehicle, it just doesn't make sense.
I don't actually super hate LiDAR as much as it may sound. But at SpaceX, SpaceX Dragon uses LiDAR to navigate to the space station and dock. Not only that, SpaceX developed its own LiDAR from scratch to do that, and I spearheaded that effort personally. Because in that scenario, LiDAR makes sense. And in cars, it's friggin' stupid. It's expensive and unnecessary, and as Andre was saying, once you solve vision, it's worthless. So you have expensive hardware that's worthless on the car.
So there it is, exactly how Elon Musk says it. It just doesn't make sense. You're using a lot of expensive technology, and it doesn't do the job. What I like to compare it to, and let me know if this makes sense to you, it's like when you're using LiDAR to do self-driving. First of all, you have to map out the entire city, basically all the roads, all the streets, so the software knows what the streets are, how many lanes are in the streets. The software knows, there's a dead end here, so that's already mapped. There's a pre-built map in the computer, in the software. So when this vehicle is driving around, it knows basically the street already. And so it's like if a blind person was living in a city, and they can't see anything, so they have a feel. They have a feel, and they hear different sounds and they feel different things, and so they know the city. And so if they live there all their life, they know the city. They could get around the city pretty well, if they live there all their life, even though they can't see anything. But then you take that same person and you put them in a different city, they're not going to be able to get around. you know, they're going to struggle. They're not going to get around as well as they can in the city that they lived in pretty much all their lives. And so that's what LiDAR is. LiDAR is, you know, a pre-programmed, you input this information of the city, of the streets, everything into the computer. And so that car knows this city. The minute this car drives out of that city, goes to another town, it's not going to be able to drive. It's not going to have the map. And that is true today. That's the technology that Waymo is using, and that is true. They cannot take their vehicle to a different city and then just have the thing drive around. It won't work. So also the LiDAR system. LiDAR does not have any artificial intelligence. When the LiDAR sees something, all it knows is the size of that thing. All it knows is the distance of that thing, but it doesn't know what that thing is. You know, it could be like an empty box laying in the middle of the street. So it doesn't know if that's just an empty box. It doesn't know that if that's like, you know, a big rock. It doesn't know what it is. It just knows it's a physical thing that's in the street. And so if you're driving, it's going to probably try to swerve and miss it. But if you're using artificial intelligence, the artificial intelligence is going to be able to be trained on what things are. So artificial intelligence, it could tell that this is like some box or a piece of newspaper that's in the street, and it's completely safe for me to, you know, run over this piece of newspaper. But like if it was a LiDAR system, it would just know that there's something blocking my way, and it's going to try to probably swerve and avoid it. And that could be dangerous, you know. If you're swerving to avoid something that you don't have to swerve to avoid, it could cause, you know, somebody else to crash, or it could cause you to hit something else. But an artificial intelligence system is going to know that, hey, that's just a piece of newspaper. It's not going to damage my vehicle if I run over it. So that's the difference between, you know, artificial intelligence and just a LiDAR-based system. LiDAR-based system is not smart. It doesn't know what things are. All right, guys, so coming to the end of this video, just one more thing I just want you to take a look at. So basically these two technologies have been competing against each other in a different field, in a different category for a few years now. I mean, probably like 5 to 7 years now. And it is in the robotic vacuum wars. So if you look on Amazon, there's like probably hundreds of different robotic vacuums out there, right? But you know, the two biggest companies I would probably say is this company called Nito. I don't know if you know them, but so Nito, they use LiDAR. All their top end, I pretty much think all their robots use LiDAR. And then the other company is iRobot, and their top end uses vision and artificial intelligence. So this has been played out in the robot wars. But so I will say that in the robot wars, I do prefer a LiDAR vacuum. And I had both. I had a LiDAR vacuum and I had a vision artificial intelligence vacuum. And so LiDAR, at least in the robot wars and vacuums, LiDAR is more precise. You know, it will be able to map out your house more precisely, and it will be able to go back and forth and clean every single area more precisely than a vision-based system. A vision-based system, you know, sometimes the lens could be dirty, it could be dark, so it can't see anything. So there are times that LiDAR is better. And in the robot wars, I think currently, today, LiDAR is better. But the thing is, this artificial intelligence only gets better and better. But once artificial intelligence gets to a point that it is better than LiDAR, then it's going to be miles ahead of LiDAR, because artificial intelligence again will learn what things are. So on a camera-based system, as long as the artificial intelligence is being trained and is learning, then it's going to be better in the long run. And so I think that's what's happening, because iRobot is not abandoning their technology. They are continuing on. All their new robots are still camera-based and artificial intelligence. And so in artificial intelligence, this robot can know that that's just something's there, and it's probably a pair of pants. Like, it will know that it's a pair of pants. It will know that it is some cords, a charger. It will know these things because it is trained to know what these things are. So I think in the future, even in the robotic space, LiDAR is not going to overcome what artificial intelligence is capable of. So guys, that's my video. That's my opinion. I think LiDAR is good, but just not good in autonomous driving. And in Velodyne's presentation, they claim that they're only 25% of what they do is for automated driving, but yet they show basically all their revenue projected revenue is supposed to be coming from automated driving. So basically, like I said, I think this just comes down to which technology is going to win out. Is it going to be LiDAR? Is it going to be artificial intelligence and vision cameras? In my opinion, it's going to be artificial intelligence, and so that's why I don't believe in Velodyne. So that's why I won't be investing in Velodyne. But that does not mean that the stock is not going to go, go parabolic. It very well could, because it's just in the EV space. It's in the space that's really hot. Anything with autonomous driving, robotics is just gonna go up. That's just the way it is now. So guys, that's my video. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Leave some comments in the description below. Give me a thumbs up if you like my video, like my research. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.